Welcome to the official pod. We are presented by WynnBET. Betting is a team sport. Bet together, WynnBET. Erik Allen here inside the studio with Anthony Becht, Erik Coleman. Trader Joe up to his tricks again here to get night 2 of the 2022 draft underway. Making a trade with the New York Giants. The Crosstown Giants goes up 2 spots, gives the Giants a 5th round pick, and he takes Breece Hall out of Iowa State. Anthony, were you surprised by the selection and also what kind of player the Jets get?
No, not surprised at all. I think they're playing with house money at that point in the second round. They're getting an elite offensive talent that basically carried this entire program on his back for the last, 2.5 seasons. Super productive, a ton of touches, over 800 touches in his career. He's still only 20 years old. Excellent patience as an outside zone runner, inside zone runner, downhill power gap scheme type style runner. And when he gets to the second and third level, he's got great awareness and great ability to make people miss and an extraordinary burst with his 4.38 speed. And the most important thing, guys, he can get it in the end zone. 50 touchdowns, I think 24 straight games he scored a touchdown. He is an elite back. And he can catch the football as well. So 80-plus catches doing that.
Elijah Vera Tucker in 2021. Jermaine Johnson in round 1 here in 22. Breece Hall in round 2 in 22. Joe Douglas not afraid to use that capital and go up.
I love it. You see a guy out there that can help your team, that can come out in here and be a first-day starter on this team. Go get him. Go forget about the rest of the picks. Go get your guy, and I love what they got in Breece Hall. He's a guy who's a 3-down back who can run between the tackles. He runs behind his pads, and he's deceptively fast. I think earlier we were talking, and you said that he reminded you of like a Matt Forte. And I see that. I see how smooth of a runner he is. He has great vision. He has great patience. He sets up his blocks well. I think he's going to be a great addition to this New York Jets offense. So much speed being drafted in these first 2 rounds.
All right, we got to be honest, though. We did a mock draft here inside the studio a couple days ago. You were virtual, and Anthony Becht takes Breece Hall out of Iowa State.
Look, I felt like it's a luxury pick for the team. Do they need a running back? No. But can you get through a season with one young back? I think we've looked at the Jets over the last couple of years, and that doesn't really happen, right? You need more bodies, and now you're talking about an elite body. So this is the top running back in the draft, folks. 40-inch vertical, okay? He graded very high across the board in testing. So he's a superior athlete. And literally, everybody week to week when he was at Iowa State, everybody on defense knew he was the catalyst that made the engine run, and they still couldn't stop him. They loaded the box up. I watched him play games where 8, almost 9 guys in the box. Those guys blocked him up and stuff, but he still finds a way to get through and make people miss, man. He is fun to watch, and he is a big-time pickup for this football team. He is going to be good. You're going to want more carries from him. I'd be shocked if he doesn't come in during the season and really wow, this kid's pretty good. I know immediately when he gets to training camp, he's going to have that effect.
Do you worry about the workload, the touches that he had during college?
I don't. He's young. Anthony said he's 20 years old. This is a young man, and he's not going to get anything close to that here with the Jets because you don't see a lot of running backs getting 30 carries like they did, back in the day. Mm-hmm. He's going to get 14, 15 carries a game. Michael Carter's going to get the rest. And you still have Tevin Coleman, Ty Johnson. There's a lot of work to go around. And what I like about Breece Hall is that he can catch the ball out of the backfield. Yep. You can run your screens. You can run swing passes. Your check down pass can get turned into an 80-yard play. So a guy who can make people miss in the open field. He has the speed to go the distance. Look at him. He's an All-American. This guy knows how to play ball.
718 carries at Iowa State last year, 253 carries, nearly 1,500 yards on the ground, averaged 5.5 yards a carry. For those watching on YouTube or NewYorkJets.com, that's 50 touchdowns on the ground. And another thing that he just talked about is he can be Zach Wilson's friend out of the backfield. 36 receptions last year, 82 for his career. He's really adept. He looks very comfortable getting out and running some patterns.
Very smooth, understands space, can match up out of the backfield versus a backer, beat him one-on-one and get into the open area, catch the football. I think when we watched Zach Wilson last year, some of the struggles he had was kind of getting those easy throws to those backs or whoever tight ends. Well, now he's going to have dudes that are capable of making big plays in those situations with Breece and, of course, continuing with Michael Carter and, of course, the two tight ends. So this takes a lot of pressure off your quarterback. We get enamored by all these throws that Zach Wilson made in his pro day and at BYU. He's not going to have to do that. Those plays are now going to come open for him a little more naturally within the play development and progressions because now you got multiple weapons, coming out of the backfield, going across in motion, Elijah Moore, all these different things now. Two tight ends, one tight end split out, two backs, maybe Breece and Mike Carter on the field at the same time. I mean, wow, Mike LaFleur, he's kind of the ultimate mad scientist. He's going to be cooking. All the smoke's going to be coming out of his office.
Well, you just posted on your Instagram, right? Salah's looking over it.
That was a Jets picture I stole, but I thought that was great. Yeah. He's looking at him like, wow, now what? Say something. I got you, guy.
So Salah's taking a look at LaFleur and saying, yeah, hey, man,
what do you think?
Happy. Yeah, right.
And I think all that starts with the offensive line and what they've done, establishing this line. You look at it across the board. You bring in Laken Tomlinson. You already have Vera Tucker, Mekhi Becton. He comes back healthy. I mean, you have the key components for a great run game. They're going to be able to protect the quarterback, give Zach Wilson some time, and all the pressure won't be on your quarterback now that you can run the football.
Breece Hall, too, another specialty that he brings to the table, which the offensive linemen are going to love, is a back that understands how to set up his linemen to block.
Patience.
So he's waiting, gets a guy to go, and then bam, he comes here, and now it's an easier block for the lineman. Instead of a guy that just catches the ball, takes it from the quarterback, and just tries to hit into this hole with no rhyme or reason. Yeah, that's not Breece, man. That's not how he's run the ball. That's been his whole career. And he's made guys look really good.
I'm kind of interested in how we're going to handle this. Michael Carter on both sides of the ball. You got Breece Hall. You got Bryce Hall.
I'm worried.
Man, it's gonna be.
We got Zach Wilson. We got Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, Wilson.
You mentioned Forte before. What about Jonathan Taylor? That's a name that some people have thrown out there when they were trying to look for a pro comp for the aforementioned Breece Hall, because Breece Hall's 217, 218 pounds, and he's a 4.39 guy.
I think it's a good comp, but it's just a piece of his game.
Right.
Okay.
He also gives you, and I don't want to bring this name, but that patience of the pinnacle of Le'Veon Bell. Mm-hmm. That kind of style of running is what we kind of all thought we were going to get here several years ago. We didn't get those Steeler days, but those are the runs that he can make as well. So it's a combination of those kind of guys, and it's going to be fun, man. This kid's going to come in. He's going to work hard. He's super smart. And he's a great kid, a great person. Community is going to love him, and it really builds the culture of this organization. Another top-tier talent guy that has great background and character.
WynnBET is now live in New Jersey, and they're bringing the excitement of Wynn Las Vegas to online sports betting. Get in on all your favorite teams, players, and sports, from boosted parlays to live in-game odds on every major sport. They have what you need to win. Sign up today to receive a special offer, risk-free $1,000 sports bet. Download the WynnBET app now or visit wynnbet.com to start winning. WynnBET, an official sportsbook and gaming partner of the New York Jets. Offer subject to change. Terms and conditions at wynnbet.com. Must be 21 or older and present in New Jersey. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-270-7117.
Just think about where the Jets have come in the last calendar year, maybe in a couple months. Draft Elijah Moore last year, sign Corey Davis in free agency, draft Garrett Wilson this year, draft Breece Hall. You're starting to see it all come together. Right? Braxton Berrios, again, he was here, but he resigns. But Elijah Moore, Corey Davis, he didn't get time coming out, but for a big guy, he really can move. And then Garrett Wilson's sub 4.4 as well. So the speed dynamic is going to be a lot different on this football field compared to even just a year ago.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we talk about offense and defense with the speed, but look at the special teams units. Look how they're going to improve with all this depth that they've created. This team got strides better. They got a lot better on offense, defense. You have a lockdown corner in Sauce Gardner. You already brought in one in DJ Reed. You add in all these talented players, Garrett Wilson on offense, a guy who's going to help spread that field open, along with Elijah Moore. I mean, look at the youth. Look at the speed. Look at the intensity that is brought into here. All these guys have Robert Saleh's persona. That all gas, no brakes. It's going to be a lot of fun watching
High-level
them.
competition every
Absolutely.
practice, right? I mean, think about corners, safeties. All these guys are going to be competing for valuable time, and now we're going to get a tremendous amount of great players on the field at once that are determined to be the best at their position.
Yep.
It's a good time right now, and I think we all kind of predicted that. Like, look, with the free agent moves last year, this year, the draft capital last year, this year, that there can be some significant changes.
Yes.
And the one thing at Joe Douglas and Saleh, trust the process, right? It's not happening last year. It's part of the process. Now you look what you're adding into the fold with all the new pieces coming in. And they still got more picks. And there's some heavy hitters dropping still that are still available in this draft to make some even more home run hits. Like you talked about, even if it's a special team player, you might get a really good high-end special team player and a guy that can ultimately start. But when you look at all these picks, these guys are going to be, at least in my eyes, pushing to be on the field immediately for the Jets.
Yeah. You start with Gardner, Garrett Wilson, like we mentioned. Jermaine Johnson going to be part of that pass rush. You have so many different options. I just find it fascinating, the speed difference on this roster over the course of 18 months or so. It's just going to be so noticeable in a league that favors guys who can do damage with the ball in their hands, take a dump pass 5 yards and turn it into 50. Or take a screen, take a slant, go to the house like a Garrett Wilson can. You have more guys who are going to help you get those big plays in a hurry and then also get to the quarterback defensively.
Yeah, I mean, and you talk about Jermaine Johnson. And, Anthony, you've been saying it since we picked him. A guy who has 70 tackles at DN, what that means is he's getting to the ball every play. He's not just making the splash plays that a normal defensive end does. He's pursuing, he's flying over the field, and when he gets there, he has terrible intentions. He's trying to hurt people. This guy is physical. He's going to bring a different level of physicality to the defense, and I love it. I love these young guys that really love the game of football. They play with their hair on fire, and it's going to be great. It's going to be great.
Chip on his shoulder.
Yeah,
too, right?
Chip
He
on
didn't
the
want to
shoulder.
be 26.
Yeah, he thought he was going to be.
loving it that he's here at 26.
Yep.
But he thought, people like top 10 for this dude. And he's been through a journey now, and that may be why. I mean, kid was at a JUCO, trying to find his way.
Last chance you.
Yeah, last chance you. I mean, those guys that's a tough deal now. It's not like, having fun and you get all the accolades of some of these big schools. Worked his way up and, finally found his home at Florida State for his final year, and he made the most of it. So, yeah, extreme amount of production out of all these guys. You're looking at their numbers. It's sick numbers across the board for these four players. Leaders of each position in their category.
Yeah, and the other thing is character. I mean, these guys, definitely dynamic talents, but they are going to fit very good into a culture that you see Robert Saleh and Joe Douglas building here, what they want. These guys love football. They're going to be good teammates. They were good teammates on the college level. You guys mentioned Johnson. He's a guy who stayed in touch with everybody in Georgia, was happy, was celebrated when they won the national championship. He said he just had to go to Florida State to further his development, and he took that next step. But I've been so impressed talking to Sauce Gardner, thinking about his story, how he was so lightly coming to Cincinnati, undersized, tall. I don't know what he was like, 5'9", 130 pounds in high school, and then he just took off, lanky kid, and then steps along the way. And Garrett Wilson, think about what competition did for him at Ohio State, playing with Chris Olave, Jameson Williams. By the way, those guys go 10, 11, and 12 in the draft. That was really kind of ironic if we look back at it. But these guys, when Saleh says, we're looking for players who love football, these guys all fit the bill.
Yeah, and sometimes when you mention those kind of guys, they don't really have maybe the matching numbers. They're like, oh, yeah, we just love the way he played. But these guys, you get both. Like, very rare, and it's very rare where you could actually talk about four guys, like literally they're all interchangeable as being arguably the best player in this draft lineup for them. Again, I can't get over
how happy is Zach Wilson
that you're able to get these guys. I mean, it's impressive. Listen, I said it yesterday. I'll say it again. Go to work, Zach. Just go do your thing. Get better every day. Make football, and I know he is, make it important to you, every little detail. It's more than throwing. It's more than getting on the film. It's more than asking coach more questions. It's got to be every detailed aspect of what you do in your life has to be all about the quarterback position, improving yourself. If he does that, he has an opportunity to be one of the best that ever put a uniform on here because of the pieces around him. Mm-hmm. It's on him. Nobody's going to be able to just make that happen. He's got to make that happen. And again, that goes across to the guys we just drafted. If they just do what they've been doing, it's going to be good.
Michael LaFleur has so many options. So we keep on talking about that, but you just added Breece Hall to the equation. Right. I mean, so we were saying that yesterday when you pick up Garrett Wilson, but now you come back with Breece Hall, who was the most productive back in college football, a dynamic talent. So you just keep on adding to the mix. You really addressed the tight end position. You mentioned Laken Tomlinson. You mentioned all the pieces up front where they're building. Zach Wilson, number 2 overall selection last year. Moore and Davis and Garrett Wilson. It's going to be interesting to watch how quickly this all can come together now because there are a lot of new pieces, but there are a lot of talented pieces.
Absolutely. I mean, and you add in that competition. You add in that intensity, that want to get better. Sauce talks about coming in here, trying to get better, trying to learn from your teammates. Garrett Wilson comes in with Corey Davis in the locker room. With Braxton Berrios. There's veterans at each position that these guys can all come in and learn from, and good enough players that they can push them to be the best that they can be. Carl Lawson's coming off an injury.
Yep.
Imagine when him healthy, Jermaine Johnson on the other side, and that defense behind him flying to the ball, it's gonna be really nice to see.
And honestly, just a message to the current players, and I don't know who they are. They all maybe, if you're not in the building or you're going to be getting in the building soon, get here, man. Because having all these guys together right now, going through OTAs, working out, running, grinding, sweating with your guys, and you bring in this rookie batch, man, it could be special. But you got to put that, it's got to be team, man. It's got to be about the team.
Yep.
And if all these players are here doing that every single day, like we did back when we played, good things can happen. We were here when those years happened. That good things can happen real fast for this football team if they're here completely every single day heading into training camp.
I just want to end with this. What were your thoughts overall on we talked about Tyreek Hill. I'm putting that to bed, but there was a report here today that the Jets offered their 10th selection, a second-round pick and a second-round pick for Deebo Samuel and a 5th round. I know you a 5th rounder. Just your thoughts quickly how it turned out.
Well,
now
just from the beginning, I wasn't a big fan of it. Yes, Deebo is great, Tyreek is great, but when you talk about what you have to give up, look what we would have been giving up. You're giving up talented players at each position that are going to be able to help your team.
Well, it turns out Garrett Wilson, you're not getting Garrett Wilson.
And the cost.
Right. Yes. And you got to pay him $20+ million.
Yep.
You got 4 young players who are going to contribute from day one and that are going to be here for a long time.
All right, so you can make the argument the Jets got the top player in 4 position groups in Ahmad Sauce Gardner, Garrett Wilson, Jermaine Johnson, and then finally Breece Hall. Speaking of Breece Hall, let's get to Ethan Greenberg, who talked to him after his second-round selection.
Now joined by the newest Jet running back, Breece Hall out of Iowa State. Breece, just what was your reaction when you found out that the Jets were on the clock? Did you have an inkling that maybe they traded up to get you?
Yeah, I just, for a while it felt like it was taking forever, but then once I got the call and I saw New Jersey, I just knew I was like, all right, this is the moment. So it's just been a blessing.
Did you have any feeling throughout the process that the Jets liked what you brought to the table? Like, are you surprised that the Jets called you, or are you thinking like, you know what, this is where I was supposed to go?
Yeah, it didn't really surprise me. I had a formal meeting with them at the Combine and some Zoom meetings, so I had already kind of built a relationship with the coaches. So once I got the call, I didn't really surprise.
So what do you bring to the table for Jets fans that haven't watched you play before? How would you consider, or what would you consider the strengths of your game?
A 3-down back who can, block, catch, and run. A natural playmaker, somebody who could hit the home run, and just somebody who can do it all.
What was the key for you to be so consistent the past 2 years? We're talking first-team All-American, Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year, stats off the charts. So what was the key for you for that success over the past 2 seasons?
Really just focusing in on those small things. My coaches always preach to me that if I focus on the small things, then my natural ability will take over. So, for me, it was just staying on my P's and Q's and focusing in on the small things.
So with this Jets running backs room right now, Michael Carter, yourself, what do you know about Michael Carter, and what do you think that you add that maybe he doesn't have, and what kind of combination do you bring and put on the plate here?
I watched him at North Carolina, so I kind of got a feel of how he was, him and Javonte Williams, and just knowing that he's a bruiser, but he can also make you miss. And I really like his game. I feel like I can compliment him a lot, so I'm just excited to get in there and learn from him.
What about your game suits what the Jets do well here on the pro level?
I feel like being a 3-down back suits every offense. So, for me, just being able to do everything at a consistent level.
All right, last question for you, Breece. What's your message to Jets fans right now? Like, what type of player, what type of person are they getting in you?
They got the best running back in this draft, and they got a person who's going to be great on the field and great off the field. So, just somebody who's going to give their all on the field, but somebody who's going to be able to impact the community off the field.
Awesome, Breece. Congratulations. Appreciate the time.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
WynnBET is now live in New Jersey, and they're bringing the excitement of Wynn Las Vegas to online sports betting. Get in on all your favorite teams, players, and sports, from boosted parlays to live in-game odds on every major sport. They have what you need to win. Sign up today to receive a special offer, risk-free $1,000 sports bet. Download the WynnBET app now or visit wynnbet.com to start winning. WynnBET, an official sportsbook and gaming partner of the New York Jets. Offer subject to change. Terms and conditions at wynnbet.com. Must be 21 or older and present in New Jersey. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-270-7117.
All right, with the magic editing, Ethan Greenberg is suddenly here, not with Breece Hall anymore. It is Friday morning.
Yeah.
What do you think about the draft?
3 minutes into Friday.
Before I ask you about that interview and your interaction with Breece Hall, what do you think so far of the Jets draft?
How could you not be? How could you not be excited? In all being realistic, I think that when you look at the Jets draft, I think depending on which analyst you talk to, you could say the Jets drafted the best cornerback available, the best wide receiver available, the best running back available, and I'm sure there's some people that believe that Jermaine Johnson was the top pass rusher, but I feel like consensus is that he was a very good pass rusher and a very good class.
Yeah.
So I feel like so far, how could you not be excited, because the Jets got better at a lot of positions, and really like what stands out to me more than anything is if we just talk about the cornerbacks room, that room ended last year with Breece Hall and Brandon Echols. You add Sauce Gardner and DJ Reed. Now that room has really good depth, and I think that kind of motto you could implement at other positions like tight end with the addition of Jeremy Ruckert and CJ Uzama and Tyler Conklin. And with running back, you add Breece Hall in there and Garrett Wilson as well. I just feel like there's a lot of depth now starting to build up at key positions.
How cool a story is that Jeremy Ruckert grew up a Jets fan on Long Island?
I'm sure that's something that I feel like I empathize with. I mean, not the Long Island part.
Yeah, empathize with it.
Yeah. No, empathize, I don't know what the word is. It's 12:05 in the morning. 12:05 in the morning.
You don't have empathy for Jeremy Ruckert, but you can relate.
Yeah, that's the word.
You can relate growing up a Jet fan and now working for the organization.
Maybe it's empathy. Some tough years, guys, kid, I want to know who his favorite Jet was growing up, because, I had favorite Jets growing up, and he's around the same age as me, a little younger, but, I'm sure we have some overlap. I'm sure he was a big Leon Washington guy.
I just talked to Ruckert, and we're going to hear from him at the end of this podcast. But, we were thinking tight end all along for the Jets this offseason. They had to address it, right? But after free agency, you didn't know what was going to happen, because they got CJ Uzama in here, and they got Tyler Conklin in here. And that kind of changed the dynamic of the position. And we're kind of working our way, I guess, from back to front now, because this is their latest pick. But interesting where they go to Ruckert here, because I don't necessarily think tight end was a big need at this point.
Yeah, especially in round 3, to your point.
But he sticks to the board here, Joe Douglas, and that's what he's been doing all along.
Yeah, I also think that it's important to note that CJ Uzama and Tyler Conklin were both later round picks. They weren't like first or second round picks, and that was something that actually I noticed when the Jets signed both those guys, where it's like maybe you have a guy, you develop him for a couple years, and then he comes on the scene. And the Jets love to run the ball, and Jeremy Ruckert's prowess is definitely in run blocking.
Yeah.
I have a question for you. It's similar. The running backs room, like when you hear Breece Hall is selected in the second round, knowing what the Jets think about Michael Carter, like, are you surprised at all? Or are you like, you know what? Like, this is going to be a 1-2 punch, and like, let's roll.
I think you want playmakers, so I guess it makes sense that the Jets are following a script that Joe Douglas said. One of the big things of emphasis is to continue to accelerate the development of his young quarterback, and he takes Garrett Wilson with the number 10 overall selection. He brings in Laken Tomlinson in free agency. He gets the 2 tight ends, and then he comes back with another tight end. But Breece Hall, this is a crowded running backs room. But that speaks to the changing nature of the National Football League, too. I think that what we've seen in years past is, listen, this offense is predicated on a lot of guys touching the football. And Hall is a guy who was so productive at Iowa State. And he's fast, and he's big, and you got really good run out of Michael Carter last year. Tevin Coleman's back in the mix. Robert Saleh was talking about Austin Walter today. You got LaMichael Pirine still on the roster. Ty Johnson's another guy on this offense who's a sub 4.4 guy.
I know.
I mean, if we go up and down the roster, and I was talking to Becht and Coleman about this a couple minutes before you got on, was this roster's really changed in terms of a speed dynamic.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And with the running backs in particular, I just feel like if that room is fully healthy at the end of training camp, a good player is not going to make the team, and that just speaks to the depth at the position. What stands out to me about Breece Hall, you look at his resume.
Yep.
He's a consensus first-team All-American back-to-back years, Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year. Stands out to me, FBS record rushing touchdown in 24 consecutive games. The guy finds the end zone.
Dude had 50 rush touchdowns at Iowa State. That's crazy.
And he had 11 school records. And I know Beck's not sitting right here like he was a couple minutes ago, and he loves the Breece Hall pick. But
he picked him in our mock drafts.
Yeah.
He's got a big ego.
Hey, I was a part of that. I mean, he was the one that put him on the table, but I allowed him to do it.
Yeah, I guess so. How about Anthony, Coach Becht? We should call him the head coach in the XFL. Great news for him.
I feel like I feel like every time I think about who the Jets drafted, and it starts like replaying in my mind because we're so busy right after the pick.
Yeah,
I'm thinking in my mind like, wow, like this team really got instantly better. And I understand,
especially after free agency when they were pumped about what they got done in free agency.
Especially, to me, I even go one step further. You think about the guys who finished the season hurt, like Corey Davis, specifically Carl Lawson.
Yep.
Like fully healthy players that the Jets added last year in free agency, like Davis and Lawson. Those are two new starters in 2022. I know Corey Davis played almost the full season or a big chunk of it, but he was on pace for 1,000 yards. I just feel like the blueprint is there. And I know you don't win the draft in April, right? These players have to develop and whatever. But I feel like this draft has the blueprint to have an early return similar to 2021. And we're not even in day 3 yet.
Yeah, we're not even day 3. And the Jets right now just scheduled to have 2 picks. So it could be an early afternoon for you.
For you too.
Saturday afternoon, no doubt about it. Okay, let me flip the script on you because this is something that over the years you would do if I was in that seat and you were in this seat. What's been your most favorite pick after 2 days?
Yeah, that's a great question.
For the Jets. And that's not saying you dislike the other picks because you're telling us this is an outstanding draft.
Well, I feel like I'm slightly biased to Jermaine Johnson because we were in Mobile, and I remember walking by. He was not on the Jets team. He was on the other team, the Lions team, the American team. And I remember walking by not knowing really who he was, and I'm like, oh, wow, like who's this dude? Because he towered over me, and I think he's just very impressive. And then fast forward to the Combine. Yep. Well, first of all, he had a fantastic week. That added to it. Then you go to the Combine. I remember listening to his press conference, and I'm like, who's this guy? Like he just has a really calm, captivating way about him, like very comfortable in his own skin.
Very confident.
Very confident. I mean,
But
he was on the other side of the studio. I love the outfit choice, and he had an outfit change midday.
did he?
Yeah, in the press conference. Well, when you did the one-on-one,
Yeah.
he was wearing the black and white or the black and yellow, like the bumblebee colored floral print. Then he had the Florida State Seminole, like red, gold, white print suit for the press conference. And hey, to me, it's Jermaine Johnson. Also, when you factor in just what this defensive front wants to do, and you know that opposite Carl Lawson could be a guy like Jermaine Johnson with John Franklin Myers and Jacob Martin also, and everyone else on the roster. You add Vinny Curry. To me, I think that's like I don't want to say game-changing piece, but it definitely changes the dynamics of what you want to do up front, because we saw a lot of times last year where 4 guys in, 4 guys out.
Yep.
And so this just adds to that and allows you to have 2 fresh units where the drop-off of talent isn't maybe what it was last year.
There could be.
Do you have a favorite, though?
Well, I just want to say this first is that could be a hellacious pass rushing unit in sub packages, because Carl Lawson, knock on glass here, he comes back 100%. He was so outstanding during training camp. We were so excited to see what he was going to do on the field, just from a curiosity standpoint, because this was the perfect system for him.
I am curious to see what happens in the middle, though.
John Franklin Myers. We love the Jets. Love his versatility. Guy line up outside early, and then in those sub packages can move inside. Quinnen Williams, one of the most talented defensive tackles, young defensive tackles in football. Sheldon Rankins still here. Remember, the one guy that I forgot about earlier was Solomon Thomas. This is former top 5 pick who can give you some rush on the interior as well, who's familiar with the solid system. Rankins, Nathan Shepard back in the mix. I wouldn't be surprised, actually, not to get too ahead of myself, on day 3 of the draft that the Jets add either a big defensive tackle.
You would be surprised if they do or if they don't.
If they don't,
right.
And then if they don't do it in the draft, then priority free agents, undrafted free agents. But as far as
there's also one more guy too, Jonathan Marshall.
Yes.
And you talk about a guy with like freaky traits.
Yes.
That's him.
A good point. And we'll have to see what he looks like in the second year. But favorite pick. I like Sauce. Yeah. Just because he just has a New York feel. You grew up in New York. I've been working here for a long time. He's the kid who's gonna get after you, get in your face. That's like a New York mentality. But he also is somebody who's gonna really acclimate himself well inside the locker room. He's talking about being a sponge. He also was a person who was doubted. He wasn't heavily recruited. He grew. He was part of that Cincinnati program. Who would have ever thought 3 years ago that Ahmad Sauce Gardner was going to be the number 4 overall pick in the draft? And then you think about the Jets. They had one of the greatest cornerbacks in the history of the league. A guy's going to be Pro Football Hall of Famer next year in Darrelle Revis. So there's some cool connections there. So I guess that one stands out to me. How about most surprising pick for you?
I think my most surprising pick would come from day 2.
Really?
With Hall or Ruckert being the 2 options, and to me it's kind of a push. Only because am I surprised? No, I'm not surprised. But to me, like cornerback, totally understand. Wide receiver at 10 and Garrett Wilson. You knew the Jets were in the veteran market when they tried to get Tyreek Hill. Didn't surprise me that they were going after him, meaning Wilson at 10. Then you talk about Johnson, edge rusher, not surprising at all.
Yeah, cornerback, wide receiver, edge.
Right.
Check, check, check.
Right. So that leaves me with the running backs and the tight ends. Yeah. And to me, I'd almost lean tight ends because of the 2 additions in free agency, in Uzama and Conklin. It doesn't surprise. Like, if you told me the Jets drafted a tight end, I would not have been surprised. If you told me it was round 6, I would have been like, yeah, okay, or round 5, because the Jets don't have a 6th-round pick. They had 2 5s until they traded him away. If it's 4th round, I'm like, okay, I get it. I'm not saying that I'm surprised in the 3rd round. It's just like, oh, okay, maybe that's a bit of a luxury pick. Not that it's a bad pick. And with Breece Hall, I feel like the vibe that we get from Robert Saleh and Joe Douglas is they love Michael Carter. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't want to add to that room. I always felt like there was going to be another guy. But when you look at San Francisco, and that's really what we have to go on compared to last year, like Elijah Mitchell's a 6th-round pick. So I'm thinking, maybe there's like a day 3 guy that can plug and play kind of like Michael Carter. Instead, it's day 2, it's Breece Hall. And, I'm a fan of the pick. I wouldn't say like, I wouldn't have put my money on that if I had the opportunity to. And it ended up being Breece Hall.
Yeah, I think it's fair. I think you go either way as far as that second day. But it just speaks to what Douglas is doing here, just sticking to the board, especially with that Ruckert pick. Because Hall, you can say, hey, listen, it's another playmaker. Playmaker. And while Ruckert didn't have the opportunity to catch as many balls as he would have if he went somewhere else, shoot. I mean, you almost feel bad for Jeremy Ruckert, not because he's not a talented player, not because he's an NFL player now, but just on a college level, it's like that speaks to being a team-oriented guy because we talk about all these guys going in the transfer portal. If Ruckert was all about himself, he'd be like, okay, so I got Garrett Wilson here, I got Chris Olave here, I got Jameson Williams here. Now I'm never going to get the ball, so I'm just going to go somewhere else. But he stuck it out, and now he's a 3rd-round pick. So, and because he's a complete tight end in terms of, yes, known for his blocking prowess more, but also had the opportunity to really catch a lot of balls on the collegiate level. Right. And that's one thing that really helped him in Mobile when we were down there is that he was able to run those routes and showcase pretty good hands.
It's also I feel like it's a great situation for him when like the expectation's not like to come in and catch 50 balls. Like I feel like the expectation for him is like you come in, you knock people off the line of scrimmage, and you learn from the 2 guys in front of you or whoever's in front of you, whoever else is in the room, the 2 new additions to be in particular, like Uzama, Conklin, both day 3 picks who have groomed themselves into starters, earning second contracts, and then maybe, down the road, in 2023, even in 2022, it wouldn't surprise me if, let's say injury led to opportunity for Jeremy Ruckert. If he stepped in and he was a productive pro, Dane Brugler actually wrote, I wrote an article about 5 players to watch in Mobile, and Dane Brugler wrote in it, I have the article pulled up, I think Jeremy Ruckert will be a better pro than he was in college, and it all comes down to opportunity. I think that says it all.
So that says it all right there. By the way, Perry and Winfrey, was he selected?
He was not. He is available. He is the Senior Bowl, for those who don't know, Senior Bowl MVP, played at Oklahoma, defensive tackle, which is, I would say right now a quote-unquote need for the Jets.
I'm watching defensive tackle and linebacker on day 3.
Oh, absolutely. Me too, especially when you consider last year Jamie Sherwood and Hamza Nasruddin both selected on day 3 as well.
Good point.
So I think that's definitely something to watch.
And don't just watch the linebacker position with that being said, because those guys were quote-unquote college safeties who played down in there in the box. So don't be surprised if the Jets find somebody of similar ilk here in 2022.
Our producer saying Darian Beavers also available. I'm pretty sure he was a Mobile guy as well. Daniel Falalele, offensive tackle, Minnesota.
Oh, I'm getting a lot of beeps right now.
We're going to the Mobile guys.
Yeah. The Minnesota kid's like 400 pounds.
Yeah,
he's like 7'7".
He is. How about
I exaggerate.
The one guy that I do think is available, Brian Asamoah.
Oklahoma
linebacker.
Loved his speed.
Also Senior Bowl guy.
Okay.
Oh, no, I think he got selected. Let's look this up right now. Well, a lot of balls in the air right now. Oh, Minnesota Vikings. There you go.
Oh, but that is a good signal.
There you go.
That's a good signal that it's time for us to sign off.
That's right.
It's night 2, but it's really morning 3 here. But we'll be back to close it up with another podcast tomorrow, day 3. But the New York Jets so far, quite a haul early in the 2022 draft. Sauce Gardner, Garrett Wilson, Jermaine Johnson, Breece Hall, And then finally, Jeremy Ruckert. 2 picks to go, unless Trader Joe is on the move again.
Trader Joe.
Hey, Greens, thanks for stopping by. We're going to close the pod right now with some words from Jeremy Ruckert. Jeremy, it seems like you're in a lively atmosphere right now. Paint the picture. What's going on? You just got drafted by the New York Jets.
I mean, I can't even explain it to you. I got, like, everybody here grew up a Jets fan, man. I grew up a Jets fan. I'm so excited. I can't wait to just get there and be a part of it and get to work right away. I'm excited.
So, can you tell me that moment when you were selected, what was the atmosphere like as far as the people around you?
It was dead silent. Kind of everybody's nervous. I was getting a little nervous. Kind of where I was expected to go and everything like that. But I mean, I just stuck to it and stuck close. And once that phone rang, everybody, you could hear a pin drop. And then once I signaled to my brother to grab his hat, I mean, it erupted. Jets chants going off left and right. I mean, everybody here is ecstatic. I don't know who's more excited, me or them, but it's a dream come true. I grew up going to games. I grew up going to training camp. I grew up being a Jets fan, so I'm just excited.
How valuable was that experience in January when you got coached up by the Jets down in Mobile, Alabama at the Senior Bowl?
I mean, I thought it was great. I built a great relationship with all those guys. Coach Mid and I thought I really tried going to him and soaking up as much of the knowledge that he's got for the game. He coaches in a way where it's very easy to understand, and I think that the whole staff, I got a chance to be a part of that room for a week and soak it all in and be there and live that dream that I had as a kid for just that week. And now that I'm living it now, it's hard to put into words how excited I am.
Hey, are you going to be able to sleep tonight? It's a pretty loud crowd and a lot to celebrate.
I had to tell him to be quiet. This is nothing compared to a couple minutes ago, man. I'm gonna celebrate it. I'm gonna enjoy the moment. I'm gonna have to lock myself in a room inside of a room. Everybody's gonna be screaming, barging in. But I mean, like I said before, this just goes to how close my support system is, how close my family is, and how we grew up being Jets fans. They're living this moment just as much as I am.
Hey, thanks. Appreciate your time. Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you.